Hi, everybody. I'm going to try to do a little bit on couples, on relationships, and what's going on. I really, really appreciated the feedback that people sent to me. And I just want to say some of the stuff I heard come through the discussions that were online that came over our page. So I think my very favorite line of all was from Amy's mother who said, he's flossing his teeth too loudly. Really, that's what's going on with our nervous system. He's flossing his teeth too loudly, right? So I just really appreciated that. And another, I love that it was the best of times, it is the best of times, and it is the worst of times. So you're getting these extremes. Couples are having these extreme things. Things are going better than ever, and they're going worse than ever too. So it's like you wake up in the morning and you may be going between two worlds of better, best of times and the worst of times. That can even happen within an hour in a relationship. So there is this toggling that's happening. To the extremes where you think I've got to leave this relationship, to this is so such a sacred and important relationship. So this kind of vacillating, ping-ponging is pretty normal during pandemics, I would imagine. Under any kind of stress like that, intergenerational stress like that, we're going to have that ping-ponging. And also it's bringing out the best of people and the worst of people. So it's bringing out enormous kindness in people who maybe were not that kind before. And sometimes it's bringing out more the opposite. The opposite is happening. And sometimes both are true. You better than you ever were as a partner, and maybe the worst you ever were as well. So that's that ping-ponging, right? And one woman described how she felt like that the loss of touch, that was actually soul starving. I thought that said a lot. Soul starving, that lack of physical touch that's happening for some people. And again, people are exhausted. They're totally exhausted. There's no escape. I hear about couples who are both having to work and try to get their children up to date through school. They're wearing themselves to the bone. So again, their nervous systems are totally wrecked, right? And then also the opposite, and also with children, because children are all over the map right now, in their ping-ponging all over the place. So that's doubly exhausting, right? So it's just a big chaotic circus out there in families sometimes. And then other families, it's a blessing and it's a quiet time. So you get both extremes. And in other families, abuse is at an all-time high, and they need to get themselves to as safe a place as they can if they're unable to leave abusive relationships. People are zoomed out and they're internet out. They're on their screens all day. And of course, that's causing a lot of trouble they get off. I watch my own son get off work and my daughter-in-law, and they're just like zoomed out. They've got no heads left. It's just been way too much. And so there's that kind of exhaustion that we've never faced in the same way before, where you're tied in like that so intensely. And that's impacting couples a great deal. There's a lot of role reversals happening where sometimes the breadwinner isn't who it used to be, right? There's a lot of financial shifting that's going on, and that's causing a lot of interesting things in relationship. And sometimes it's a good thing. That role reversal is actually helping the couple to appreciate each other more, and sometimes it's not. Again, that ping pong, always that ping pong going on. Ping-ponging the best of times and the worst of times. There's again escalation of abuse and addictions, and that's very, very sad. That's extremely sad. And again, that's the nervous system, the stress, the pressures, and there's also an escalation of kindness. People are kinder than than they used to be some of the times in their relationship, because there's this undercurrent. I could lose this person. This person might not be here forever, right? It is a pandemic. We tend to sometimes respect and hold and cherish our partners more deeply in pandemics. And again, that is something that ping pongs. We can't sustain that all of the time under all the pressures that exist in a pandemic. I love how one partner, her partner goes out to work and he comes home and he's got to take all his clothes off. And she describes every day that he leaves and comes home as a micro mourning. Because, he's out there, helping out there, right? Getting food to people. All these healthcare workers, their partners at home are often in a state of micro mourning, right? It's very powerful to be the partner of a healthcare worker. I say that deeply. It's profound to be a partner of a healthcare worker. And that micro mourning really, really resonated with me. Another person described the pandemic as a space of silence. And I tried to figure out what that might mean. And I thought maybe a space of silence might be some things we don't say. And at the same time, I know I can be very silent with my partner. He's in another city, and our relationship is again over FaceTime. And sometimes we just sit in silence, right? Just silently being there while one is eating or one is doing something. Just being in silent company with each other is powerful. So I like that idea that the pandemic also brings a space of silence. People talked about the blended family as a couple, what that's doing for couples, in the sense that your fear is the co-parent protecting those kids well? Are they socially isolating? And the coming back and forth of children between families is also weighing on relationships heavily. And the relationships with the ex-partners are really testy and difficult, and also ping-ponging. Lots of stress in relationships right now. And then the other big issue for those of us that have members that have serious health issues, one of your nervous system might be very, very loud because you're so terrified for your partner who just had a kidney transplant or something like that. I have a loud one when I think of my sister and her diabetes, and she's in she's in assisted living. Oh my God, right? So those relationships really invite the nervous system to be very loud, right? I love this. One woman talked about safe zones. We have to make safe zones in our house where we can connect at certain times, because we're both working, we're so busy, you can't intrude on someone's space when they're working because they can't get their head back where they need to be. And sometimes people have safe words they use, or talk times, a shared time so they're actually learning to divide their time into little micro whatevers they need to be in order to meet in those little spaces that don't wreck everything else for everybody. So it's really awesome that we're doing this kind of compartmentalization that's so required right now. Very beautiful. Again, the division of labor and gender roles, that's been really coming up for people. You're really getting a look at who does what when you're both together in each other's face all day. And so that's a big deal, right? That's a big deal. And the one thing I want to say that I appreciated the most was the camps. Couples and families are doing much better when they're going away to camp together. And that's very difficult and so important for Indigenous peoples, right? One woman talked about, they had to go out to get the rice, right, out in the rice fields. And that really, that powerful on the land gathering gathering food and sovereignty, food sovereignty, is really helping families intensely. I know people are coming back from the goose hunt in James Bay, and you can see from the pictures and how the families are doing, you know, how important that time was and how healing that is for the family, and how it kind of really settles that nervous system down. So the themes I see here out of all of these issues around the pandemic is I see the theme of nervous systems, that our nervous systems are extremely taxed. So I'm going to try, let me see if I can move this table down a bit. Whoops, sorry about this. I'm going to try to do a little experiential with us around our nervous systems. I don't know how this is going to go, but let's try it. And so if you could find a little spot for yourself somewhere, I wish I could do this one myself instead of deliver it to you. And I may listen to this later and do it for myself because I'm in a relationship too, right? And we're all in relationships with everything. So I do believe our nervous systems are ping-ponging. We're going all over the map in our relationships, and that the stress levels are high. And that we really need to just kind of see ourselves and maybe see our partners too. So remember, we ping pong, we share, we're a collective. As a couple, we're a collective. Let's try this on. So we're going to be trees. You're going to be a tree, and choose another person to be a tree in relationship with you, whether that's your life partner or one of your children, whatever relationship you want to be with. So take a minute to see who your partner is for this exercise. Who is your partner for this exercise? Knowing you can do it again, come to this part of the video and do it again with a different partner. And just notice yourself first. Actually, I take that back. I want you to notice your partner first. If your partner were a tree, just really take your time. What kind of tree would your partner be? And what I want you to pay attention to is the leaves on that tree. And that those leaves sort of are a reflection of your partner's nervous system. So if they're standing, if the leaves, if the partner's a maple tree, for example, and the leaves are standing all on edge, you know, all up there, and just let that be. Or if they're drooping, as if they're like bottoming out. So just allow the leaves to be a reflection of your partner's nervous system. No, don't change it or fix it. Just allow that to be over there. And the leaves could be doing whatever. One side of the tree could be up, one side down, but just allow the leaves to show you your partner's nervous system during this pandemic. And then bring yourself over to your own self. And what kind of tree are you? Just allow yourself to be a tree. And notice what your leaves are doing. What is your nervous system like? And just ever so sweetly, allow the trees to notice one another. Allow the trees to keep each other company a little bit. They don't have to be that close. They can have some space between them. But allow the nervous systems to see each other. Just allow the trees to do whatever they need to do. And just allow the environment outside of the trees to be present too. The clouds, the wind, the stars, the moon. We're always connected and interconnected. And when you connect to your intergenerational connectedness, does anything different happen for the trees there? What else is there that can happen to help support this relationship? Is there anything else that you need there? Just, do you need rain? What do you need there for your own personal part of this relationship? Is there something the one tree needs more than the other tree? Just allow whatever is there to form in just its correct, in just the right relations way, whatever way that works best. Are there any animals that come to these trees? Just to be ever so gentle here. It could be different animals for different trees, for the you and for the other. Just notice the animals that come to support your trees in this relationship. And know that you are not alone in relationship. You are not alone in relationship. And how will you give thanks? Is there anything that needs to happen here that needs to be honored in a good way, that needs to be honored and respected and made tender? Kindness is always the way home, and we're only human. So while this is the best of times and the worst of times, and while you can't stand the sound of your partner flossing his or her teeth, and if you're in a state of micro mourning, for goodness sakes, be kind. Be kind. I hope this is a little bit helpful. And let me know if there's anything else you would like from me. And best to your relationships, all my relations.